Okay, I wanted to jump on story time around what I moved through this morning in my practice. As mentioned, I'm going through an upper limit, I'm going through an expansion portal to hold in more. And this is what happens when we, create, when we have an upper limit. We have an amount that you feel safe to hold. And in your nervous system, in your body, in the stories, in the wounds, in your current identity. And when we say we want to expand our capacity, we want to call in more wealth, we want to call in more relationships, we want to call in a deeper love or a love, we want to call in more visibility, you're going to have a certain amount that you feel safe in your nervous system, within your body, within this identity. And when you surpass your upper limit, say this is like your internal thermostat, we bounce and we hit it. And what happens is we don't feel safe past this amount. We have your protective parts in your body that is telling you above that, you're basically going to die or be unloved or be out of the tribe. Like there's so many different, everyone's got their own story on what that means. So we continue to hit the same block. And when we hit the same block, and so we hit the same block and then we get past it and our block is here. So then we continue feeling safe and regulating in this new identity, this new amount of capacity. And then all of a sudden we desire more. And so we continue hitting these upper blocks and it just keeps moving. But every time you hit an upper block, you are going to hit the same story, the same wound, potentially the same event that you continue healing. Maybe it's with the same person, your father or your mother. And quite often this is where so many people, they shut down and they continue looping in the same upper limit, therefore the same reality and the same results. And they don't shift identities. And remember, like shifting identities, you hold a different vibration, you hold a different frequency, you expand your capacity to be able to hold that thing in your nervous system, and your body feels safe holding that. So it's absolutely required for what it is that you're calling in. You cannot avoid this part. Feeling your emotions and being connected to your body and regulating your nervous system is the most crucial part in expanding your upper limit for more. So we want to be aware of what is actually looping in this upper limit. And so what I was moving through this morning, I'll go whenever I'm like in this wound, when I'm in the portal of expansion, everything comes to the surface. I'm like seeing life through the lens of my wound. And what happens is the wound looks for evidence on why that wound is true. The more you go through this, the more you're going to see the wound for what it is. There's maybe going to be a day where you have like so much emotion around it. You're going to potentially feel very victim-y, to-me consciousness. Now, we cannot create from this consciousness, but it's required in the expansion portal. We need to actually have this moment. And then we're able to move into acceptance, more into our heart space. Now, the heart is the biggest electromagnetic field in our body. We manifest from the heart. But so many women have their hearts closed and guarded because of the pain, loss, betrayal that we have had in our lives. And a lot of the time it relates to the masculine. Now, the universe, God, spirit, money, business are all masculine energies. And if you are carrying wounds from these masculine energies, you are blocking yourself from the manifestation or your upper limit in what it is that you're calling in. So many of us unconsciously project the universe. Say we manifesting, it's like the universe gives it to us. The universe is you. But so many of us unconsciously project the universe as our father or our mother and tells us that you're not worthy, you don't deserve it, you've got to work in order to receive it. Like we have so many of these conditioned stories from generations, but also from our upbringing and our conditioned beliefs that we've created in this life, that we get to a certain point when it comes to upper limiting and expanding our capacity for more. We get to this point where we have to alchemize these wounds. And so every time that you hit an upper limit, every time that you want to expand your capacity for more, the wounds come up to be seen again. And so many women are like, I've healed this before, why is it coming up? And we kind of shut down and we don't actually see it for what it is and go deeper into the layers, because the body is regulating into this new version. And in order to regulate, we've got to feel the emotions. And a lot of the time, these emotions will be also felt in the body. So you may during this time so for me, whenever I know that I'm upper limiting or when I'm expanding and when I'm expanding my capacity for more, I get this like infection in my tooth. every single time. Now, I don't know if you know much about teeth, but teeth are linked to meridians, and our meridians are linked to like our organs, and there's so much around that you'll, and it's shoulders. Maybe I'll get like a muscle knot, and it's usually in my left like shoulder blade. And so having a look of like, okay, when I'm like, what's going on in my body right now? As you can hear in my throat, I'm going through some visibility stuff. And then obviously the tooth is like mouth related, all throat chakra. So when you are expanding through an upper limit, you have a wound. You have a core story, a core wound that basically is going to repeat. And for me, it's I don't belong, I'm not important, I don't matter. Ultimately, I'm unlovable. And the loudest is like, I don't belong. And this morning I was really feeling into it. And it was father wounds every time. And I've done so much work around my father and got to so many beautiful places of like full acceptance of I am grieving of the little child that never got the love that she actually really desired from the masculine. And there was a point last year where I was collapsing actually in the mother wound and healing a lot of the responsibility that was affecting and almost burnt my business to the ground. And it was like burning me out because I was like constantly putting out fires, and I'm like, why am I being projected on all the time? Why am I like caring about this? And I had all these mentors and coaches, and they were like all the stuff. And then I found the responsibility wound, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm trying to keep everyone happy because I'm the oldest child and my mum wasn't emotionally regulated. So I had to regulate her, and I had to make sure that she was happy in order for the family to be happy. And so this was playing out in my business. And this is why, and I was literally going to burn my business to the ground. If I hadn't seen this wound and alchemized the emotions and pulled back little Sophia and, was responsible for myself and my emotions and moving through even the guilt around that and all the little things that come up with that, like the different memories, different trauma linked to that one particular wound. Is so deeply layered. And I think this is where a lot of us, we try and like have the quantum leap, the quick fix, the person that's going to show us this quick 5-step process to get that, and we just shame ourselves and judge ourselves and circle and then make it mean something about us, like I am broken, I'm never going to be fixed, like all these stories that we have, and it doesn't work for me. And so we just continue living out our lives in that victim consciousness, and then we never change, we never create and have our big dreams and goals that you're so worthy of more. And sometimes I wish I could just go in and just like, come on. And I do that to myself too. I'm like, come on. But we have to go through these games. I like to see it as like a video game of like we're going through different rooms, and then all of a sudden you get safe in that room, and all of a sudden you slay the demons, and all of a sudden you're like, got no more demons to slay. And then you're like, right, the next room to go into and like up level. And so we up level, and the more we up level, we can hold more. But we hit, it's like, I don't know if you're familiar with video games. I played them as a child. Every time you'd go to open that next level, you had to go through the biggest demon to slay, or like the biggest like monster and it's like the hardest one. And then once you did that, you got to go to the next level. And this is the same when it comes to healing. This is the same when it comes to expanding our upper limits. This is the same when we're regulating ourselves into safety for more. We have to slay that demon. We come up with the biggest core wound that comes up every time. And for me, a lot of the time it is around the visibility, around being seen, being a leader, using my voice, speaking my truth. Because as a child, that was never safe. Expression for me was never safe. Like feeling emotions was never safe. I only just started feeling my emotions 5 years ago. I started doing sacred rages, and I realized that I was a really fucking fiery person. And before that, I was a people pleaser. And a lot of people pleasers, we have this dormant fawn response of a shutdown of a little girl that actually really fucking wants to express her emotions wildly and fully. I went through a lot of embodiment around that, and that's a story for another time. But what I wanted to come on here and share was around feeling these same looped wounds. And when these wounds come up to be felt, don't shut them down. Because this morning's breakthrough was huge. I had so much grief. As I mentioned, I've done a lot of stuff around my father, but there was still a lot of like unprocessed grief held within the body, within the throat and behind the back of my neck. and it stores in our body. And then I was able to see again my father for what he was. And there's a actual process that I take people through around this, and the protective parts that are around that don't let you feel and let you see these deeper parts. But start with just feeling the sensations in your body. So when you're in expansion portal, you're honestly you don't feel like yourself. You feel lost. You feel like you don't know who you are anymore. You doubt your purpose. You doubt yourself a lot. You feel really insecure. It's just a really uncomfortable phase, but you'll always get through it, and it's always happening for you. And that's the biggest place that we really want to make sure that we go through these times, is we don't go in, as I mentioned, you'll have a day where you're in victim consciousness and you're fuck this is hard, and you feel really sorry for yourself. But that's the victim actually wanting to be felt and have a moment and be seen. And as children, when we, I feel like a lot of victim consciousness is because we're just wanting love. And that little girl that lives inside of you, she still needs that love. She's seeking mother and father, but we can't change back time. We can change back time by changing it within ourselves. That's how we literally change the future, is by alchemizing our past. And no one's coming to save you. And the moment that I realized that, and realized how much I was waiting for people to save me, or why aren't they fixing me, or why can't they do their job properly, I realized that I was outsourcing. And the moment that I realized that I cannot let someone do that for me was the moment that I started changing and doing this work deeply. So this morning's practice, I got to feel deep grief that was still held in the body, and how we manifest and how we regulate our nervous system through feeling, through bringing in safety. Because in that moment I got to be that father that little Sophia never had, and she grieved and she really wanted, and she just hoped that she could still have that. And a lot of us, I think, live in resentment and live in lack because we don't validate that we never got what we wanted. And when we validate that was effed, and that's what we wanted, and then we get to grieve. And the moment we get to grieve, we then get to come into acceptance, and then we get to come into seeing our father or our mother for who they were, that little boy or girl that couldn't give us what we wanted, and we get to be that safety for ourselves. As I mentioned, masculine is safety, it's structure, it's providing. And in order to be successful in business, and when I say success for me is being regulated. It means having a lot of time. It means not hustling or forcing or pushing. And a lot of women are very much in their guarded masculines because of the father wounds or the shut down heart. And we have to heal the heart in order to manifest. We have to heal the heart in order to hold. We have to heal the heart in order to receive. And it is the it is the gateway. It is the portal to expansion. And by healing the heart, we have to allow ourselves to feel. And so this morning was all around healing the father wound, and masculine is money. And we block ourselves off from receiving more, expanding our capacity for more because of the father wounding. Because we don't feel deserving, because we feel guilt, because we feel shame, because we have been betrayed, because we don't trust them. And so we shut down our hearts, and then we no longer allow our next level of wealth or money to land in our bodies to safely regulate into that, because we're basically nope. Or abandonment wound is a really huge one around that. I'll hurt you before you hurt me. I won't let you in because the pain of you leaving is really freaking hard. Or a woman will have a lot of money and they can't enjoy it. They always think that it's going to be taken away, the other shoe's going to drop. And this stems massively to abandonment. And the key here is to hold, to learn, and open the heart to let it stay. And this was a huge part of my journey. And so now it is regulating into being loved by me. I don't need my father to love me. I know he loves me. Every mother or father loves you deeply. It is in our bones. It's a biological thing. That will never leave. But some parents just don't know how to show that. But we have to be that person for ourselves. And that's where reparenting comes into expanding our capacity. Every time you go through that portal, we have to learn to feel, and we have to learn to reparent ourselves and give the needs that we needed at the time. And while you're doing this, you're regulating yourself and building safety in your body. And then the protective parts learn that they can trust you. Because everything that you're avoiding, or every what if scenario, and therefore you just don't take action because you're what if, you're avoiding a feeling. And the moment that we can learn how to feel, and feel the thing that we're avoiding, rejection, abandonment, hurt, judgment, the moment that we can feel those things and validate that within ourselves, the moment the protector parts can actually start taking a seat and we start feeling safe in our bodies, and that is how we expand our capacity for more. That is how we unlock that new level. That is how we stop looping in our upper limits and build in another internal thermostat for more. And we regulate to that next level. And then we go again. The next time you call in more, we go again. So that's today's podcast. A little fire riff. I'm loving these long shares. Drop in the comments what landed for you, what's happening for you. I would love to just even like reply back and like give you some coaching, and like that's how I get to give, because this is like, it's my passion. I'm so freaking passionate. I could have gone on so many tangents, but this is when I'm going to start riffing all these things. Lots of love.